Welcome back to the rush. The rush of the resistance. No. Well, today is the big day, people. Yes, the most important things is going to be built today, aka a power line. Whoa. Now, overhead power line to be exact. Mainly just because to add scale, and in real life, there's power lines through natural occurrences in the world. I'm pretty sure people have definitely driven to work. I definitely have to lower this music. There's people have driven to work, and they're like, "Well, look, power lines and all that stuff," and they always have that trail because they're divided in between forests. Because obviously you're not supposed to have trees on some power lines, but I can confirmly say this because now at this point you're seeing this is on the workshop. No one, and I mean no one, has made an overhead power line. Now they might have a specific name, but if you look up overhead power line, you will see a bunch of power lines. And as you see here, I'm puzzled by the fact that how I'm going to do this. I probably made this way more difficult than it really needed to be. But mind you, I think this is when I finished the last episode, I was doing this. So this is 8 days old. And I'm assuming I was watching something, and as well as, making the building. I don't know how long this took. The next recording, because it took an hour and 20 minutes of me just fixing up, the world and the farmland and stuff like that. But this is the picture I use in reference. Hopefully I can find it on the internet. It's a really cool old-timey picture. And this is to both fit into the realistic aspect of, driving somewhere, there being power lines, as well as to add scale. That's one of the big factors I feel like a lot of people want, is to add, hyped. Why did I put height and hyped in the same thing? Want to add height into their world. Scale in regards to, mountain ranges or, trees, trees going up a hill, stuff like that. This fits in that grand scheme of things because there's a real life example that you see day to day. Where I live at, in order to get to a specific area, you have to drive on a highway, which then leads to not really a highway. Well, actually, no, I think it's a highway. It's just on the ground. When I imagine highways, I assume like the ones that are lifted off the ground. Pretty sure that's not how that works in regards to their name. But I do have to go through a specific route that has 2 lanes, both on each side, and you actually go under these overhead power lines. And if you were to look to your left or your right, you would just see that it's just a line, and it goes on to the point where our eyes can't perceive the distance. I'm pretty sure it's both the haze and all that stuff in regards to the world. So all that fog, chemicals that in the air, atmospheric pressure, stuff like that, it becomes blurry off in the distance. So it only stops there, or the actual terrain stops you from seeing it, or it hits a curve or stuff like that. And to be honest, it's always those little things in life, I guess, for me. I would like to walk under those one day. I'm pretty sure those are probably like private property, or that can be considered trespassing. Now, I don't know if there's any lines or any lines. Let's get those mixed up. I don't know if there's any signs specifically mentioning that you can't walk through those. But I'm pretty sure there probably is. And, some Karen's going to be like, "Hey, there's a guy walking through the power lines." Which technically I'm not walking through the power lines. I'm walking under them. But either way, they just look so cool. And, I don't know. If I get back into drawing one day, which, yes, I do draw, I might, just do a bunch of drawings of those power lines. Because, yes, even though they are a human-made object, it fits under the aspect of something organically made by us that fits into the real life world. Now, when they're overcrowded, as in a power grid system, I guess it can ruin that feeling. But there's usually always just the one and then a small one next to it, or depending on the location, there's 2 power lines. So maybe if there's a bunch of them and it's just a sea of them, it would look horrendous. But it fits in that weird uncanny feeling of the fact that nature and humanity combining together, to the point where it's not overbearing. So it's not like overgrown or any stuff like that. So I think I like how it looks. Also, I don't know if this is before the update, but this kept happening where I would edit something and it'd be far in the past, aka behind me. It aggravated the bejesus out of me. So, but I do finish this build here, and I decide later on that I'm not gonna add power lines, mainly just because one, I was gonna say it's impossible. It's not impossible. It's just really hard when you get to a certain point when it comes to the fine details, because our cameras can only zoom in so much, and also when you're this opponent, I don't know the word I would use. Opponent. We're just gonna use opponent. It's a big word. It's a new word now. When you go to places, you just call yourself an opponent being. You know what I'm trying to say. It's really hard to get the scale correctly, especially when you start getting to the really small, nitty-gritty stuff. Because a power line in real life is small in comparison to a human. I don't even think if you were to, I was gonna say if you were to put a power line through someone's head, it would fit. It would just fit like probably where their nose is. Take their nose out. So it's not even that. It's like a elephant trunk, but like smaller. So in comparison to this game, like I don't even know how small you can get in scale wise. But that was just hard there. So I'm gonna let this continue. Let the little rattling of me stop, and then I'll continue talking once we get on to the next part of the builds. And this is where I get back to everything. So, just like in real life, obviously, there's some times where it goes through forest, the overhead power lines that I'm speaking on. And they're always connected by a second additional power line. So this is also to help me with the scale in regards to where I need to put the power lines. So we're just gonna put them right next to each other. Eventually I expanded a little bit more because as you can see here, it's in the tree. So I was gonna say grass, but you know, to me the trees are grass because I'm an optimistic god. But here, you know, we're just adding texture to show like what I said earlier in regards to, you know, usually, actually, I don't think I said this earlier. I say this later. I keep forgetting that I record stuff prior to me doing the voiceover. And at this point, this is pretty much it of the Powerline part. We do build something a little fancy later. But here I'm deciding to pretty much invest in the third episode. All this stuff will be important for the third episode. And now we will build the solar panel farm, which I use a technique that everyone is obviously aware of. I just, you know, copy it, move it across, and then do a circle. But what I decide to do later on is just to shorten things, make it a little bit smaller. Because I tried to do it this way, but it didn't work. And time was of the essence. This video was supposed to come out yesterday, aka Saturday. But it's gonna come out today. So do apologize for that. But I had issues making it a circle, and I was like, maybe I could do like a half circle, because I think there are places that do that. But after just testing it out a little bit, I realized that I can just do this. And I think, yeah, there you go. There you go. You can just do this. Now, later on, we can zoom in and see how this is very not effective. And also, you can not move them all one by one, because there are so many solar panels. But this gets the point across, and I think it looks amazing. And now we get on to the actual farm. So, as I've said plenty of times before in my other videos, these consistent videos in regards to this world are also using, I guess, some of my creations, as well as people's workshop creations, which all these codes will be down in the description below. Just like this greenhouse one, which you may have seen on Evil Square's workshop Wednesdays, I believe. Somebody made greenhouse on the workshop. So, and coincidentally, I think I mentioned this later, coincidentally someone made it, so I can do multiple things with everyone else's creation. And I believe that building is an Outback building. But all these codes will be in the description, and this is just to give, you know, more life to this world. But I mean, I really don't have more to say here. We just make this enclosure. I will be making overraptors, which you'll see later on. And they will be represented as chickens, and they'll be put in that little enclosure over there. So, but I'll just let the rest play out, because in reality, I really don't have anything to say. So, until I start speaking later. And we're here. Yes, that was a speedy time build, and I'm also recording this before doing the voiceover again. But as you can see, we have our chickens. Look how big our chickens are. Whoa. Yo, that guy looks like a flamingo. Is it a flamingo? I think I'm something different. A peacock. Is it supposed to be that long? I feel like that's a glitch. Where's the other dude at? There he is. Yeah, that's glitched out. But that's funny. He's the male. Now, if we hop over. Hop over. Yeah. We can go inside. Oh, there you go. It's fixed. That was funny. These are the chickens. This is obviously a workshop build. This as well. I did edit this as you saw in the time lapse. But the chickens are here. So white chickens and the roosters. And they have a little bit of water. But what I'm really proud about is this over here. Look at this. This looks all legit and amazing. You know, you come over here. There's the dirt path. There's always a random bit of grass and farmland. We got Terry. Terry moved in. There's a generator. And we have, you know, random attire. Someone lives there. You know, the Outback house. Oop, and I'm stuck. And then I made these in the time lapse in the beginning. I believe they have seeds in them in real life. Another random doohickey. Then this, which I actually saw on Evolution Square. I don't know how to say it like that. Evolution Square's Workshop Wednesday. Oop, can't go inside. I think you have to go into this. Wee. And it's funny because I looked this up last week. Well, I say last week as in regards to, actually no, it was a week ago. I think it was 8 days ago. Looking up greenhouses, and no one made a greenhouse. So, as you saw probably in the time lapse of this video, there's a bunch of work stuff items in this world now, mainly just because people made you know, workshop items. We got that. That's an Outback. Someone made that. Someone made a small fence with a small fence coop. You know, hay bales and all that stuff. Like, these are stuff that I can use as well. I didn't make a custom arrival point, which is just made out of rocks, but that's just so everything connects. And this as well, a little garage area. I think these are always needed. I might move this somewhere else later on, but I have plans for this giant enclosure, which you can already put 2 and 2 together if you think. But with the grand scheme of things, this looks amazing. But that was not the highlight of this video. The highlight of this video were these. Yes, spent that whole beginning making power lines. No one's has, well, as far as I know, no one has made these. So by the time you see this video, these will be going up in the workshop. Now, yes, this is nothing like, oh my lord, or oh my goodness, or my gosh. Like, you know, nothing crazy in regards to, you know, something, I guess, dinosaur related, but it adds scale into your park. And a good example for scale is if we walk along over here, we get this whole family walking around, and just look at that, man. It looks all cool and jazzy like. Ooh, this one's floating, but it's whatever. And I did the view earlier, but this looks amazing. It just gives, you know, more depth. And in real life, which I know I haven't connected them, but to be honest, I don't think I will. And if you want to do that painstaking stuff, you can. But in real life, they always have, these are called overhead power lines, and they're all different per state. This is based on, if hopefully I've had in the video, but this is based on a really old power line. I just liked how it looks. So, but they're always next to at least a single one, because there's different power lines. They do different things. I believe bottom's like internet and the other one's power, some stuff like that. But oh yes, he's walking over here. I had to add this puddle because these guys were just staying over on that side. But if we get the right angle, look at that. Actually, hold on, we're gonna pause this. Actually, we might even get a screenshot. I wish you can go lower. There we go. Perfect. Alright, that'll be the thumbnail of this video. You sell it live. But, as you can see, in real life, they always go through, like, weird areas. I think I'm gonna add more rocks and stuff like that through here. But it just goes along. You drive under them in real life sometimes. So they go along to here, and we end up over here. And it falls off between the void. And then this over here, we have the raging station, where the power comes from, where the DFW buildings are. You know, trying to keep it more centric to, like, you know, what you would find in real life, I suppose. I don't know what that is, but yeah, that's part of the building. But this is where they get all their cargo and all that stuff transported in. You know, dinosaur feed and all that stuff like that. So, and this could be the main road. And this is, you know, where people, this is a bus stop people go to so they can leave out of the countryside. I might do a little small city over here, but I don't know. That would expand onto like 4 episodes, and I'm kind of keen on just doing a 3-episode series for this. And you know what? Maybe I might do a little thing over here. I don't know. But I do have goals for the next episode. Probably finishing up some of the farmland. And then this is the power array. Whoa. I didn't know you can get so small with these. Oh my goodness. This is totally not efficient in regards to getting solar power. But, you know, I wanted to add variety in the sea of just farmland. Because, you know, occasionally you'll walk through farmland, which, yeah. I mean, you're just driving through the nature, you know, going somewhere. You wouldn't be in the middle of the road like I am. But, you know, this is what happens sometimes. I might fix this little weird patch right here. But you know, you look to the side, you're like, wow, look at all this farmland. You miss your turn? Wait, is there even a... Alright, well, I'm gonna add one real quick. We'll do a cut through. Wrong thing. Don't turn around on me, car. Ta-da. There we go. We're God. We can do whatever you want. You miss your turn, you hit the biggest U-turn. Then, you know, you're like, whoa. What's with this crazy music? Oh, yeah. And then you get to the farm, which eventually this will have a fence. Left. And you're like, whoa, look, it's the farmland. Keep driving. With your lo-fi tunes. You drift. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now that just looks cool. You know, we're the sheriff. You know, we come here to check up on Mr. Steve and his farmland. Hopefully you can fit through this. We can. And then, come over here. You park the car in front of the house and get out and do whatever you need to do house getting out wise. Then get back up, put it in reverse. Cut to, I think Terry. I remember his name. He's a fake person anyway. Go through here. Get back on the dirt road. See the water and all that stuff. And then you drive through. You see the new Ceratopsis. But the main reason why we got in the car is to show the scale of this environment. We're going to cut through here real quick. Just look at that. Just like real life. Like, whoa. I'm pretty sure people have been on the highway and, you know, drove in or driven. Skirt. Drift that beat. Under some power lines. So. But you'll be like, oh, I'm heading into work. And you just look to the side. Because that's how it is in real life. There's just this giant line. And it just looks so cool. I think this street leads over to... Oop, drifted. Skirt. There we go. Now we're on Cement Road. And just look at this. This looks amazing. I'm glad I decided to do this little mini-series because no one else is doing this. And I'm unoriginal. I'm original. Whoa, look at all these people going to Waffle House. Wow. And we're going to get ourselves some waffles. I'm going to let you park this be. Oh, oh. Ooh, perfect parking, question mark? No? Ooh, you know, in comparison to the guy who's sitting next to me, that's perfect parking. I'd say that's perfect parking. But, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Now I'm just going to do some B-roll. Going through it. No, I haven't posted in a hot minute. But with all due respect, I have a life, people. So, and respectfully, I don't think anyone's missing me. So it doesn't matter. But I do like the power lines. I do like also just how this all looks. This is the point of this series, is to, you know, do the what would happen in real life situation type beat. Just look at that. That could be fixed a little bit, and that probably can be curved out. But even that, just this looks a little bit real. Whoa, sideways. Whoa, that was cool. Cinematic sound. But I do like how this is. I like how all this is coming along so far. My main fear was this part, but luckily the great people in the workshop have already made everything for me. Other than that, I made that myself, which I might make a blueprint. The stuff I make, I will make a blueprint on, and I will put that in the workshop. I will take the time and do all the codes I've used today here. And if I decide to make any custom blueprints, mainly just for the satellite stuff over there, I will. Actually, I don't think I can. Yeah, I don't think I can, actually. Because you couldn't, there's only a certain amount of pieces you can move, and that definitely exceeds the limit. But you saw how I did it in the video. Which, actually, let's just go over there. So, I would have made this a blueprint, but due to it exceeding the amount of item limit, you cannot make it a blueprint. So, but you did see how I got it. I will list the individual ones, so you can see. So you just do exactly what I did through the circle. But this will be the solar panel farm that is connected to the doohickeys. To give it a little bit more scale. When it comes to that, the power lines will also be on the workshop, as well as everyone else's stuff. With that all being said, let me get a picture of the chickens. Then we can call it a day here. But don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Depending on how things go. They're dasty. I will do a third episode. Actually, I will. There's a guaranteed third episode. Will there be a guaranteed fourth episode? Don't know. But with that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Hope to see you in the future. Have a majestic day. That's a chicken.